Hi, Shira7. I'm back with Diaries of a Former Mortician, Vlog 14. Okay, so I've gotten a lot of questions. What's the most gruesome thing that you've seen or experienced? Well, there's a lot, but like the things that really stick in my mind, the gross things. One time we were embalming this older gentleman, and he'd been dead for a few days. So he's on the embalming table, and we just got finished washing and cleaning and doing all the preparation. And right before we start the embalming process, you cut like an incision right here, and then you insert the embalming tubes into the artery. But before we do all of that, we wash the body, we cut the toenails, we do like all the other work to the body besides the embalming. And like I said, that you have to pack all body orifices like with cotton or something. Well, right as we were getting ready to pack the anal orifice, stuff just started oozing out. It was like diarrhea. It was a mudslide, and it smelled extra bad because it's coming from a dead body that's been dead for a while. And when you die, you can lose control of your bodily functions because your muscles and your organs are no longer working, so it just comes out. Okay. Yeah. So we had to rewash him because it got all over the table, and it was like diarrhea, like sludge. It wasn't like a solid mass. So that was pretty gross. Plus the smell, and then so we had to clean that up. It was pretty gross, but it wasn't gruesome. Okay. Gruesome. The most gruesome thing that I've seen, I think I told y'all about it, was when I watched an autopsy done to like an older cadaver. It wasn't a new body. It was like a cadaver they had been using for months, and it looked like something off of Thriller. It looked like a monster. That was pretty gruesome. And the nearly severed head was kind of gruesome because, like, how often do you see a decapitation and like get to look inside of a neck, after it's been cut? That was pretty gruesome. The body that had been found for a while, that was like too decayed to embalm and had bugs and maggots and roaches in it, that was pretty gruesome. Let me think what else was pretty gruesome. I didn't see as much gruesome stuff because that I wanted to. Because, I lived, like, the funeral homes that I worked for were mostly like in the city. So all we got really was like old people and like, people who've been shot or stabbed. There was this one guy who was killed in prison. He had like all these stab marks all over his body. And you wouldn't think that would kill someone, but like, because the little stabs were like this small, like it was like with a fingernail file, and I'm like, dang, that killed this big old dude. So yeah, I've seen like shankings. I've seen bullet holes in the head. I've seen shotguns to the head, like where half the face was gone. Looked kind of surreal, like surreal art. Like if I was an artist and it was crazy, I could have had some pretty good art out of this. I still could, but then there was, let me think what else. What else was good? This guy, he was in a motorcycle accident and didn't have a helmet on, and he just cracked his skull open like an egg. That was pretty gruesome to see. And like, for his funeral, they put a hat on him because he had like this big old like sunken in part of his head. Let me see what else that was gross that I've seen. Oh, burn victim. Yes. Okay, so there was this guy. He was in a car accident, and his car caught on fire. And before they could rescue him, he burned. And I went to the medical examiner's office to pick up the body, and it was in a body bag. And I'm like, I walk in, and I'm like, oh, okay, where's the body? Oh, it's in this bag. I like what's that smell? It smells like barbecue. Somebody barbecue? He's like, no, that's the body. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, he was charred. You want to see? I'm like, okay. So he opens up the body bag and it's just a charred skeleton, like with a little meat on it. Looks like barbecue. I mean, like, you know how when you burn barbecue, how it looks? That's what it looked like. And then I get down to the feet and I noticed something. I'm like, what? His tennis shoes, he had on some Nikes, and his tennis shoes were rubber and they were melted into his feet, into his flesh. It was like all one big rubbery, fleshy, burn mass. And you couldn't take them off because they were burned to his feet. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I've never seen that before, you know, rubber burning to someone's skin. And so he couldn't get embalmed because he was too badly burned. So he was cremated. So he was burned twice. But it smelled and looked just like barbecue. That's one of the reasons I do not eat red meat, because working with dead bodies reminds you so much of red meat and barbecue. So that was pretty gruesome, I must say. Then there was, trying to think of another good gruesome one that I saw. Oh yeah, okay. A bed sore. Okay. This was one. This is on the top three. Okay, top three. There was this old man who'd been in a nursing home for like years, and he died. This was the guy whose finger moved like this after he was dead. I think y'all have that story. He was in a nursing home for years, and you know when you're in a nursing home, you just lay there all day, and a bed sore can form where your bone hits, you know, your meat, and it just sits there and like wears a hole through your flesh if you're not turned or exercise, or there's no blood flow to that area. So it's just like a giant hole about this big in your body. His was on his hip, and it was a little bit bigger than this, like about the size of, it was a little bit bigger than this hole. Okay, see, that's my candle. And it had gone straight through his body, like you could see the room through the other side of the sore. It was on his pelvic area. So he could see from his front to from out of his butt in the back, okay? The hole was like green and had like slime on it, and it smelled and it wouldn't heal. And you could just actually stick your finger right through it and come out on the other side. That was pretty gross. And don't ever put your parents in a nursing home because they get bed sores. You're going to be feeling really bad. Okay. So yeah, that was really gross because never seen anything like that up close before. And it's just like an unhealed wound that's gone straight through your body. And it smells. And it, you know, bleh. Okay, let me think. What else have I seen? I think... okay, I've seen some pretty gruesome private areas on people. I don't want to get into that because it's just, okay, imagine this. Okay, imagine every type of human being that you see walking down the street. Imagine if you could see them naked, up close and personal. I mean, some of them you wouldn't want to see naked because of obvious reasons. They're not very attractive. Okay, imagine you having to see them naked because it's your job. Okay, imagine seeing some obese person naked or some really old lady naked. And like imagine like all their body parts look like. Some old nasty man. If you ever want to know what old people look like, nude. Okay, I had to see all of this. Okay, I've seen transsexuals. I've seen trans, I guess, all type of metamorphosis from, you know, transitioning. So I've seen it all. If you have any more questions, just ask me if like about the questions. They can get pretty, you know, gruesome, but it's more of what you're thinking about at the time. Like sometimes you get a body that looks like someone you know or someone you love, or your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother, and it just kind of messes with you in the mind, because then you start thinking about them dying. And so it's kind of weird, like what actually goes through your mind while you're working on a body. And you might not realize it until later what's actually happening to you, because there is some mental, you know, repercussions from working with dead people. And sometimes you need to like catch yourself, because you'll find that you just talk about death all the time, and people will be like, well, why are you always talking about death? And da 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 da. And so sometimes you have to leave your work at work. But if y'all want some more stories, just ask me the questions, because you know I need my memory jogged. I need y'all to help me remember a lot of this stuff, because if you don't ask the questions, you know, I'm just gonna give you what's on the top of my head. All right, so I hope y'all enjoyed this vlog of all my little gruesomeness. If you have any stories that you want to tell, if you work in a funeral home, or if you want, you know, some more information on working in a funeral home and how it is, just let me know what y'all want. All right, peace.